Writer, author, badass, and now podcaster. Who is it?
It's LSH.
Welcome to Talking Shit with LSH, a unique female perspective on sex, love, motherhood, relationships, careers, and the real shit women say and think about societal norms. Unleashed. It's not what you do, it's who you are. Who is it?
It's LSH.
Talking Shit. Let's first start off with your name, who you are, and what you do.
Who am I? My full name is Kenya McGuire Johnson. I am a musician and an artist, a creative, and I'm a mom. I put that because that's such a big part of my life. It's really primary. It's before all of that. And I don't know. I'm gonna try to. I'll be brief. You can dig more for the, but that's what my job, is to be a musician.
That's your job.
Yeah, I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm also an artist coach now. That's my newest, coaching other artists who are trying to develop, do good stuff. Yeah.
That's good stuff. So, I should have probably started with this. Welcome to Head to Head with LSH.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I'm hosting this, and thank you. I appreciate you for being able to do this and talk a little ish with LSH. I like to get to the undercurrent. I think it's part of my personality, but that's the personal side of LSH. I'd love to be able to figure out what's ticking, what makes that person tick. Yeah. So I remember first connecting with you, Kenya, on social media through some real friends.
Right.
And you had this hashtag. It was a great post, but there was a hashtag, Dream Big.
Dream Big, yeah.
I was in Atlanta a year ago, 2015, March 2015, and I was in the process of doing my very first public appearance as LSH, doing a live show. We were at Cat's Cafe, and not only did I was down there, but my actress was down there. We were staying at the W.
Okay.
And I was waiting in the lobby for someone or something to happen. And I caught your post.
Oh.
I saw it, and then I reached out to you in Messenger. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember you reaching out. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, thank you. It was a very nice message. But yeah, Dream Big that's a big motto of mine. Now I think I say, what does I say? Dream bigger, or dream big, live bigger, or do big. Like dream big, but do bigger. Like don't just dream. Like go past that.
Why is it changed in this last year?
Just because of all that has happened for me, things that I never ever I'm not even being able to dream now at that level. Like I feel like certain things have happened that I wouldn't have even. I wouldn't have even dreamt of it, and most of that is really good. Some of that hasn't been, but there are things happening that, my vision was to meet here, and things kind of keep exceeding that expectation. So I'm kind of I'm now dream big, but keep do bigger. Don't just dream, keep doing, because then it multiplies.
Did you believe that? Because sometimes we get into the hashtags, or we get into the cliches of sayings or things that someone feels is a really good thing for us to say as an artist, or when you have more of a profile.
I have an interesting history. I've had an interesting life, and so
you've had multiple lives.
I really feel like it, yes. And so I 7 year was it 7? Where were we in 2016? So in 2008, I was doing nothing of what I'm doing right now. Literally, not even remotely.
What were you doing?
I was working full time as let me see. At that point, I was I'm a licensed physical therapist. But I was on the education side of things. So I was teaching graduate students in physical therapy school, students who are trying to become physical therapists. I was counseling students who were trying to get into, because I have a master's in counseling, so I was helping students who were trying to get into physical therapy, nursing, med school. Okay. Very traditional life. I worked at a university. I worked at Chicago State for a while. I left Chicago State, had my second child, so that was in 2006. decided not to go back to Chicago State and got a new, because what I was doing in Chicago State was more administration. I was a director of educational counseling. Loved the job. I really did. The university, and I'm very public about it, it was a struggle. And I mean, they've had their public struggles.
Yes.
And it wasn't an environment I knew. I was like, I can't do this. And I know that every university has interesting bureaucracy. That's not unique, honestly, being in higher ed, but you have to decide what type of bureaucracy you're willing to put up with, and that wasn't one that I had decided.
Someone said to me, this was as it relates to relationship, men. I guess it applies to jobs and careers too. You just everything or person is gonna bring you some shit. You just gotta decide which shit
you want. Right? No, that's what you're gonna put up with.
Yeah,
and that was I knew. And by the time I had my second child, I was exhausted. Like I was physically exhausted, but I was emotionally really exhausted. And I knew it. And I knew at that point, I probably need to reevaluate my life a bit, because I knew I wasn't doing anything creative. At that point, I wasn't doing any music, no writing, nothing. Nobody even, I had stopped being creative. And when I say being creative, meaning writing and singing, I had stopped probably in 2001.
So before 2000, 2001, what was your form of creativity?
So that was when I was a baby. I was really, really young. And before I got married in 99. So before I got married, I would still sing back up. I was living back east in DC.
Okay.
I wasn't singing my own stuff, but I would sing back up on studio sessions for people who are on shows. I joined little groups here and there. I wrote all the time. I would do open mic poetry. I did a lot of poetry, a lot of that stuff. I bought for myself, with my graduation money from college, I bought myself a piano. Because I played the piano, and that was the biggest thing I missed being in college. I grew up with a piano in my house, as a kid, so I could always go to the piano and, if I was depressed or liked a guy, I would write my little songs and play, or if there was a song I liked on the radio, I would pluck it out, on the piano. So I was used to being able to do that. When I got to college, obviously I didn't have that in my dorm, and I'd have to sneak in the School of Fine Arts. I went to Howard, and I wasn't a fine arts major, so technically. You
didn't go to school as a...
No.
What was your major in college?
Physical therapy.
Oh, wow.
No,
so what part of Kenya... Like, let's rewind.
See, there's a lot. That's what I told you. There's a lot. There's a lot.
Because I think our stories are very similar, right? So was this... Because I, as a writer, I can now say that I began my writing career at 9. Right. That's when I first discovered I was a writer. But I was never aware of it until later as you start to get all this information about who you are and what you are and what you do and all that.
Yeah.
So you went to college and you did not major in your talent.
I did music all through high school. I mean, that was my life.
Were you in talent shows?
Oh, beyond.
You were winning talent shows.
I was Dorothy in the Wiz.
Oh my gosh.
I was Maria in West Side Story.
I always envied the junior high in New York, it was we went to junior high. We didn't go to middle school. So seventh and 8th grade, every Dorothy, I was just if I could have switched places with you. Got to high school, every Dorothy, because every high school was on that.
Right. Well, it was funny because I grew up in Denver, so they're not doing the Wiz in Denver, and my high school was the first Denver public high school to ever put on the Wiz.
Oh my God.
And so it was a huge deal, not just for our high school. Like, I think it even may have reached the newspaper and stuff. I mean, it was a big deal because they had never done a black cast of a play for a high school, for a public high school. And so I got casted as Dorothy for that. So we had people coming for that show who had nothing to do with our high school. I mean, people from all over the city. It was like sold out, right? Because they wanted to see.
How many of you auditioned though? How many African American girls came out for that?
You know what? I don't. I mean, because it was only to your high school. Only the high school students could audition, and it was funny. And I
some white girls.
Well, no white girl, and I think they might have even said. No, they didn't say no white girls can audition. But I mean, no, I don't recall. I don't know. Honestly, when I auditioned, okay, let me backtrack a little bit. From the time I did my first solo when I was 8 years old. I remember singing Tuppets or something. I don't even remember what movie. Anyways, some silly little Tuppets, Feed the Birds. Feed the Birds. I can't even remember what play, but that was my first little solo. And so my dad is a drummer, so I grew up I can't remember not ever having music around me. So it was always
live music.
Yes. We had instruments, we had piano, bongos, congas, maracas, drum kit, drum set, the whole cymbals, all of that stuff.
Oh, wow.
And so music wasn't special necessarily. I mean, it was a part of life. It was a part of what this is what we do. And so when I got to elementary school, you have your little music class. And I mean, I was just doing what they tell you to do. And my teacher, I remember this so clear, she was like, Kenya, you're going to sing a solo for this program that we were doing. And I'm like, okay, why should we me? Because it wasn't like an audition. It wasn't, she just said, you're going to sing this song. And I want you to come in like at lunch to practice with me on the piano, because I play piano, you sing it. So I think my mom recognized that was a big deal, but she didn't make me feel, I think they wanted to keep me kind of calm or something, because nobody was like, oh, Kenya. They were just like, okay, all right, let's practice. And so I sang my little song. And once I sang my little song, like everybody knew, oh wow, Kenya, has a nice little voice. She's a nice little singer, because you're 8 in 3rd grade. And then it wasn't. Then like the next grade came, and then they started a choir, and so then I was like gonna sing in the group, and that it wasn't an audition again. They just pulled the little children sing in a group, and it wasn't until. I think it was 5th grade or 6th grade, and that was still elementary for me. I had a babysitter named Ellen. Ellen was this little Jewish white lady, red hair. My mom had to work later hours. Like my mom didn't get off work till like 6, so I had that, between 3 and 6. My dad was still at work too, so it was like, what are we going to do with the kid? Basically, is she going to be a latchkey kid or?
No, we're going
and I was a latchkey kid for a minute, but I think my mom, she wasn't comfortable with it. So this little lady who lived around the corner, Ellen, kept a bunch of kids that went to my school after school.
She was after school lady.
She was after school lady.
Yeah.
And she would pick us up from school and take us, get a snack. She had a big old Victorian like kind of house, and she collected dolls. And she had this big yard and had lots of cats and dogs. And so it was like a really perfect place for a kid, because it was like, wow, there's so much to do here. And Ellen, I loved Ellen. She was she had a son herself, and her son, she had a piano in her house. And so her son would take piano. And so I would go, this was before my parents bought a piano for me. So I would go and play the piano at her house, and me and her son, we would sing. And, it was like just
doing a little duet.
Right, we're doing. So she's watching all of this stuff. As an adult, of course, she's watching, paying attention. By the time I got to 5th or 6th grade, we got this new music teacher who I remember thinking I didn't like her. Nobody really liked her. Miss Trombley, we don't like Miss Trombley. She's mean or whatever. So Miss Trombley had, we were continuing the choir. But Miss Trombley, this is like, we're auditioning for my choir. It's now you have to audition. Oh, it's no more, you just get to put in. Right. It's like, whatever. I did a solo. I sang Feed the Birds.
I was 3rd grade. So I had my first solo at 3rd grade.
So I'm not scared. So I tried out for this little choir and didn't make it. Ellen, my babysitter, lost it. She was like, what do you mean you didn't make it? Well, how's that possible? How did you not make it? You've done all the solos. You've been this. I said, well, Miss
Trombley, your advocate.
And I was wondering why. I mean, she was just, and it's so funny when you're a child, you're so in the now. Like you just don't, I mean, it might have bothered you for the moment, but you just kind of keep going. You just keep going. And her husband, Ellen's husband, when I looked at him, he looked like a white man to me. Now that I know race, and that as black people, you can be any complexion.
Any kind of shade.
Right. I knew he was from Jamaica. I thought that he was white because he was so fair-skinned. And I knew he had the accent, but their last name was McCorkle, and I was like, he's a white man. But what I started noticing, and it's not until hindsight, Ellen now, so that means Ellen is a Jewish woman married to a black Jamaican. Okay, that's her exactly. Eye for black children
her point of reference is
totally different.
Yes.
And I remember she got on that phone, she's like, I'm calling the school.
Oh, yeah, she was your advocate.
Right, she's like, I'm calling the school, this is ridiculous. There's no reason why you shouldn't be, and I know why she's not putting you in that choir. And so she got it. And so she called the school, and she's going, and I remember her pulling my mom when my mom came home came to pick me up, pulling her off to the side. And I know she must have been explained to her, it's a race thing, something's going on, because this woman, I think there was some other race stuff that was going on with Miss Trumbull. And so she was calling, and so they put me in the choir. Because
they got it right.
They put me in the choir. And my mom said,